Hello and welcome to our English News Edition Major Stories. A high-level meeting on financing for economic development at the center of discussions. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margeli, led today in the afternoon at the Palace of the Republic an important meeting around the stimulation of growth and the financing of economic development. Djiboutian economic growth in recent years has made a good step forward and has been promising. Stimulating growth will reduce poverty and lead to promising prospects. This more vigorous one is the necessary means to increase the well-being of the population, and this is essentially if we want to promote equity, if we want to balance public finances, and more importantly, if we want to maintain this balance for a long time, said the President Gili. In addition to the Prime Minister at this meeting, the Minister of Budget, the Minister of Finance and Economy, the Minister of Investments, the Secretary General of the Prime Minister, the Director of External Finance, Director of ANP, and Director of Customs, as well as the Director of Public Debt. And during this high-level meeting, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margeli, has reiterated the responsibility of all senior administrators present in front of the citizens and their duties as senior government and administrators. He said in his speech, the President of the Republic emphasized that it is necessary to review and highlight what it needs to be reviewed or needs to be strengthened in order to pin the Republic of Djibouti on the landscape of the world economy and attract foreign capital. The Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed has, in an interview, talked about the importance of this high-level meeting. It is an important place for Djiboutian population who must be involved and engaged in the search of well-being of the community, he said. The Minister of Finances and Economy has for his part said that this meeting was an opportunity for the various actors involved in the economy and finance of the country to consult each other to see and even to find solutions on how the growth of our economy is doing well in order to put the mechanism in place and the right solutions. He said that, as you know, all have revenues and expenses, and during this meeting, the big questions evoked revolved around expenses but also on taxes. The Minister of Budget has, in an interview as well, said that the meeting with the Head of State, His Excellency Ismail Margeli, aimed to boost the economic growth of the country, and this was discussed in detail on ways and means, as well as to strengthen our efforts once again to move forward, he said. It is the taxes collected by the government to build the hospitals, schools, or other institutions or public institutions. The Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed presided over today in the meeting room of the Premature, an important working meeting whose theme was how to exploit our mineral resources with the help of local elected representatives in this to diversify our economy to based on services. Present at this meeting, the Minister of Interior, Mr. Hassan Umar, and the Minister of Energy in charge of natural resources, Mr. Yonis Ali Kedi, and the Minister of Delegate to the Minister of Interior in charge of decentralization, Mr. Hamadou Mohamed Armois, local elected officials. To know the presence of this meeting of the Mayor of Djibouti, Fatima Awal Osman, the Prefect of President's Regional Councils of the 5 regions of Interior. This important meeting on the follow-up of the decentralization process follows the working session on decentralization that the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margeli, directed in the afternoon of April 30 at the Palace of the Republic. For his part, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Interior, Mr. Siraj Ahmed Abdul Qadir, indicated the objective of this meeting, which was for an effective strengthening of the territorial administration and a better exploitation of the mineral resources. The Prime Minister said on proposals of the Minister of Energy and Decentralization decided to start a tour and visit sites to enhance it. For its part, the Minister of Energy in charge of natural resources, Younis Ali Gedi, talked about the establishment of an effective decentralized administration passes by namely the decentralization of engineers to the region, the mobilization of financial resources necessary for the improvement of the quality of services to the population, and the creation of the conditions necessary to enable regional activities, said the Minister. The Minister of Energy in charge of natural resources, Mr. Younis Ali Gedi, accompanied by a strong delegation composed of Secretary General of the Ministry of Energy, the direction of SID, and a team of the management of this energy with the Energy Director in mind, undertook in the day of 4th May a tour in different localities of the region of Arta. This delegation was accompanied by the Prefect of Arta, Mr. Abdullah Diraroukiye, and welcomed on the spot by the Honorable Deputies of the region, namely Honorable Mrs. Aisha Muhammad Abdullah, Honorable Mr. Umar Waberi, and that of Deputy of UDG, Honorable Party, Mr. Muhammad Ahmed Ainan. And the objective of this day was the same as that of Friday, April 27, namely the distribution of solar kits for remote villages located far from the national electricity network. The Minister of Energy, Younis Ali Gedi, has talked about in his intervention the importance of this donation and the fact that it will relieve the population in need. Following the call for the international aid launched yesterday by President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo to help the Somali victims of flooding in the Hiran region and the flood of Wabi River Shebele, the Republic of Djibouti quickly responded to this call. Some 10 tons of mattresses, blankets, mosquito nets and tents were dispatched this morning by air, and this emergency first aid also included children's food. The head of state also gave clear and precise instructions to send on the spot first aid workers of the Civil Protection Service. Seasoned firefighters from the Civil Protection are in the process of departure and will be deployed tomorrow in several areas where floods have been reported, to help the local population provide relief to try to dry some places to install camps. The Republic of Djibouti has responded each time to the needs of its Somali brothers, whether in attacks or other natural calamities series. The traditional annual meeting of the political dialogue of this year 2018 between the Republic of Djibouti and the European Union was held today, Monday, April 30, yesterday under the co-president of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, spokesman of the government, Mr. Mohamed Ali Yusuf, and the ambassador of the European Union in Djibouti, Mr. Adam Kulesh, in the presence of the Minister of Economy and Finances, Ilyas Moussaouali, the Minister of Interior, Hassan Umar, and many ambassadors of the European Union accredited to Djibouti, including the ambassadors of Germany, France, Great Britain, Italy, the Netherlands, the Belgium, and Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Interior, Economy and Finance, as well as various directors of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs took part in this meeting. The topics covered all the important areas of cooperation between the European Union and the Republic of Djibouti and affect the political, economic and social spheres. Regarding the national political component, the Minister of Interior gave an update on the last legislative elections of 23rd February 2018. In addition, on the regional side, Djibouti and head of the diplomacy, Mohamed Ali Yusuf, gave a briefing on the situation of conflict in Yemen and the humanitarian disaster that this country knows affected by fratricide war, on the political situation in Somalia, in particular following the election of the new president of the Republic, Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed, known as Farmajo, on the border dispute between Djibouti and Eritrea, and Djibouti's wish to see the sanctions maintained against countries which constitutes a source of concern and instability for its neighbors. In his opening speech, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, spokesman for the government, recalled the importance of this political dialogue, which is, he said, an exercise in reflection, exchange and sharing points of view and ideas. According to Djibouti's head of diplomacy, Mohamed Ali Yusuf, this partnership between the European Union and the Republic of Djibouti represents the relations between the two parties, and dialogue promotes a cooperation that is respectful, constructive and focused on the challenges of the present and the future. Under the chairmanship of the Honorable Ahmed Roble Abdullahi, the Commission for Social Development of the National Assembly and Protection of the Environment met on Wednesday, May 2nd, to consider the draft law number 222 Bureau Code of Ethics of Public Officials. The working session of the Commission was attended by the Minister of Labour responsible for administrative reforms, and during the discussion and study of the bill, the two parties, namely the government representatives and the elected representative of the people of the country, held the importance of this bill as innovative and serving the interests of citizens. Indeed, the government representatives explained that the ethical concerns in the public service are the translation of a fundamental movement that highlights the need for ethics in society and the need for ethics in practice of many trades. As part of the monitoring and evaluating of implementation of major projects of the National Library and Archives, the Minister of Muslim Affairs and Culture Movement Hassan Barre received in an audience a mission of experts in the field of archives, libraries and electronic management of documents. The head of mission, Mr. Albert, an international expert in archives and records management, gave a briefing on all the techniques of management and organization of libraries. The Minister Mumin Hassan Barre thanked the members of the mission for this visit, which will provide additional elements for the future management of this project, which will preserve a part of the national memory and help maintain the documentary collections. The Minister also raised the question of training the future staff of the archives in the library. A human capacity building program will be submitted to our partners to accelerate the training process, he added. Professor Bobo Kutaka, expert in library science and biology, Mr. Bazimi, a conservator consultant in engineering archives, spoke in turn to explain the importance of this project, especially with the new management methods based on modern approaches. The Minister of Muslim Affairs and Culture, along with the experts' mission in the field of archives, libraries, and electronic document management, visited the National Library archives, and this comes in the framework of the monitoring and evaluating the implementation of major projects of the National Library and archives. The Ministry of Women and Family, in collaboration with the UNDP and the USAID, set up a training courses for women in cooperative management that lasted 2 days in Belbela at the Social Action Center for the Empowerment of Women. The ceremony was chaired by the Minister for Women and Family, Mrs. Mumina Ahmed Hassan, the representative of UNDP, Barbara Menzi, the head of the USAID, the heads of the Ministries of Women and Family Promotion, the representative of the Association of 5 Districts. This new status of cooperatives allows the women of the association to promote their work, to be more productive and have a review for the progress of their efforts provided in different taxes. The UNDP representatives pointed out that this training aims to strengthen women's ability to have more income-generating activities.
Deux ans déjà, et qui traite de l'autonomisation économique des femmes et le renforcement des communautés. Et ça vise à renforcer les capacités des femmes, surtout les plus vulnérables, par un accompagnement et pour mise en place d'activités génératrices de revenus. Je saisis cette
The Ministry of Women and Family, Mumina, has emphasized that this training aims to develop the cooperative incentives as with empowerment, inclusion and sustainability by promoting the initiative of civil society to contribute to the improvement of the socio-economic life of women in the association. A major training closing ceremony was held today at the Gendarmerie Training Center at PK23. This ceremony was placed under the authority of the Chief of Staff of the National Gendarmerie, Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden, in the presence of Brigadier General Genes Antonio, representing the General Commander of this institution. This was the closing of a series of trainings conducted under the MIAD 9 program by instructors of the Italian Carabinieri during the first half of 2018. And these instructors of the Army of the Italian Carabinieri have trained more than 200 personnel of the Djiboutian Gendarmerie, with whom they share their knowledge in an excellent state of mind, strong traditional ties unite the two sister institutions, the Djiboutian Gendarmerie and the Italian Carabinieri Army. And this training session is part of a broad cooperation between the two forces with similar missions and assignments. The Secretary General of the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mohammed Abdel Mahyoub, conducted this morning final supervisor's tour of the second edition of the Great School Contest. He was accompanied by the staff of the Ministry and the Director General of Education and the CFF, in this case Mr. Isa Kamil and Osman Ibrahim, as well as Mr. Abdi Dirir and Mrs. Aisha Farahi Tire. The finals of the Great School competition took place in CFF to the disciplines of Maths, Science and English, as well as dictation of 5th and 70th and 90th grades in Scientific. At the same time, students from Arabic language schools face each other in Maths, Science and dictation. The finals of the dictation events were held in the studios of Radio Broadcasting Television of Djibouti, RTD, which broadcast live events. During the finals, qualified schools primarily faces in the interior regions have played finals. Schools with different areas and districts of the capital in 2 locations provided for this purpose. Obituary were learned with great sadness the death of the deceased Aisha Muhammad, who died this morning at Tajora. Deceased was at the age of 70. The deceased left behind her child and several small children. Deceased was the elder sister of the Dar Sultan of Tajora. May Almighty welcome her to his eternal paradise. On the regional news, in Libya, an armed group targeted the Libyan Electoral Commission in Tripoli. The provisional challenge is at least 11 dead. An attack on the headquarters of the Libyan Electoral Commission was underway on Wednesday at midday in Tripoli. The record was at least 11 dead, announced the Libyan government. The several armed assailants managed to enter the compound of the building. A suicide bomber blew himself up inside the building, and the others set a part of the building on fire, says Commission spokesman Khalid Umar. A shootout then broke out between the attackers and members of the security forces on social networks. Photos show a thick black smoke rising above the neighborhood of Tripoli. And this is it for this news. Thank you for joining us on RTD and have a good night.